This week on Movies, Baby, Find the Accountant. It shouldn't be too hard because it's in pretty much every megaplex all over the country. That's right. The Accountant 2 hit theaters this weekend with Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, and others. And we've got the full rundown for you, including our review. But let's start with some context, because it's been nearly a decade since the first Accountant came out.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like just yesterday to me, but it's been a decade. The original Accountant came out in 2016. It was like an unlikely role for Affleck. He plays an autistic accountant who's a like genius, and he launders money for the mob, and he's also like a killing machine. All these things are going on, but he had to do sort of like a character, and he had to be this sort of, you know, autistic genius. He's doing sort of Rain Man. He's doing sort of a light Rain Man in this movie, and it made $155 million against a $44 million budget, the first one. So it was a surprise hit, and then it was a huge, hit on streaming, and it's been on freaking TNT and all that stuff. And yes, people still watch TNT. And they started planning this sequel in 2017, right after the first one, but then COVID and the strikes and Affleck's contract, requirements and all this stuff. And then last year, MGM, which is owned by Amazon, so Amazon MGM came in and bought the rights away from Warner Brothers. And so Amazon MGM is actually the ones that got this sequel over the finish line. They doubled the budget to $80 million. I'm going to assume, we were talking earlier, I'm going to assume that means Affleck and Bernthal got big sweet paydays, because having seen the movie, it's not a movie that looks like it cost $80 million, but I'm assuming that Ben and John got their chunk of change, and good for them. And so Amazon MGM is the one that came out with the sequel, and I'm assuming, much like their acquisition of the James Bond franchise, they are looking for stuff that is going to play well on streaming after the initial theatrical release, and Accountant 2 probably fits that bill.
Not probably. Whether it's Reacher, Jack Ryan, these are the kinds of shows that do well on Amazon Prime, and these are the kinds of movies and content that they want on their platform.
Do you think, before we get into our review, do you think this was sort of like Ben was like, I want to get my Good Will Hunting? Everyone thinks Matt's the smart guy because of Good Will Hunting.
No,
I want to do a movie where I'm a genius.
No, I think this is Ben saying I want an Equalizer.
Equalizer, yes.
This is Ben saying I want a franchise that I can do 8 of them, and they're awesome and fun. And people love them, and I can do them, and they want Mission Impossible. I just want to do this till I'm, 60, 65, and we'll make 5 of them. It'll be great. It's
I
my
just have
guy.
always wondered, because look, Ben Affleck is smarter than Matt Damon in real life.
I like that.
He willingly took. And he's smarter, because when they did Good Will Hunting, he said, you know what, let me be the funny sidekick, because he knew he would nail that role. He didn't let ego take. He's like, this will be good for the project. You play the smart hunk. I'm going to play the wisecracking Boston guy. But in his head, he knew he's the smarter of the two. Do you think, though, sure, he wants an equalizer, but as part of that, he's like, let me get my equalizer and let me set the record straight. I'm going to play a smart guy, and I'm going to be even smarter than Will Hunting.
Honestly, no. I want to yes and you based on the rules of improv, but based on my role in this show,
you got to tell the truth. You got to be honest.
I don't see that one.
You don't think it's been simmering for let's see, Good Will Hunting's what, 96?
No,
he didn't
say I too
30
need
years
to play an autistic person. And listen, just a little asterisk. We're going to say the word autism a lot, not because we're putting a label on it, because the movie is very explicitly, both accountants, about the fact that this man has autism.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not using that
in a not.
Yeah,
you weren't.
I literally,
the
he's
word
autistic.
autism is used a ton, and there's a lot about autism in these movies.
Yes.
That's why we're using the word autism.
Yes. I'm just going to stick with the movie's own terminology.
That's right.
I'm not qualified to have a discussion about autism outside of this movie.
Correct.
But he's a genius. In the autism is kind of
in a Rain Man sense. John Bernthal in 2 is like, you wore your Rain Man shoes, because he wore just like sneakers, like I'm wearing.
Right.
He has autism, and that's the whole point of the movies.
Right.
Is that he's an autistic
and you can go
superhero.
look up, particularly the first one got some criticism about the depictions of autism, etc. I'll leave that up to people who are experts in that area. But we are qualified to talk about the movie itself, I believe.
We are.
Which was directed by Gavin O'Connor, who he's done like sports movies. He did the first Accountant. He did Miracle, the movie about the hockey team.
I love that movie.
Warrior, the boxing movie with Tom Hardy. So he's done like sports movies, guy movies, dad movies. And this movie, Accountant 2, brings back Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, Cynthia Dye Robinson, J.K. Simmons from the first one, and then they added Daniela Pineda, who I liked a lot as this like assassin because she got.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Okay, well, speaking of spoilers, we're going to have to talk about the plot of this movie, so there will be some sort of, like, loose plot spoilers. There's not really a twist in this movie that I would say.
The twist is in 1, and the twist is that they're brothers, and that's what 2's about.
Yes.
So we're going to just talk about that. Sorry.
We're going to talk freely about this movie. If you don't want to know anything about The Accountant 2, you haven't seen it yet, but you're really excited to, and you don't want to know anything about it, I would skip this review. But we're just going to sort of, talk about the movie broadly. So The Accountant 2 is, like Joe said, we find out at the end of 1 that Affleck and Bernthal are brothers. They seem like they're sort of at odds in the first one, and then we find out that they're actually brothers, right? And then they have to kind of team up and reunite. And then when we get to the second one, it's been a long time since the first one, but they reunite again because Affleck gets caught up in this sort of missing persons case happening around the border and around immigration from Mexico, Central America, and the United States. And then there's this sort of big conspiracy around this one family who has gone missing, and we don't know why. And so Affleck gets involved in that, and there's guns and cartel and a shady guy who runs a fish shop and a lot of fun sort of, dad movie, semi-neo-noir action thriller stuff going on. And then there's big shoot-'em-up scenes and so on and so forth. Joe, what'd you think of The Accountant 2?
Hey, Brett, I really like The Accountant 2.
Good for you.
And I really like Accountant 1. These aren't masterpieces, but if you're looking for this kind of film and you enjoy your Equalizer or, I don't know, any sort of action movie, your Den of Thieves.
Yeah.
Accountant 2 is going to go down nice and smooth for you. I really like Accountant 2 because it has Bernthal and Affleck in it. Bernthal kind of steals the show. He's a charming guy. He's charming in 1, but in 2, he's doing full Bernthal. And I'm sorry, I loved watching him do Bernthal, and I like that they were friends. They're two brothers that are distant, but they still love each other, and they sit on, little fold-out chairs and drink Budweiser and talk shop, talk bro stuff. They go to a bar. Ben Affleck, because he's autistic, he memorizes a line dance very fast, and then he does the step to impress a woman. It's very, charming. Anyway, I kind of found the whole Accountant 2 to be charming would be kind of the word I use for it.
Yeah, it was oddly charming.
It's just not incredibly serious. It is dealing with dark themes, but isn't worried about that at all. Don't worry about it. It just treats like really real themes. Like, don't worry about it. It's just like a fucking movie. Who cares that we're loading children into a mass grave right now?
Let's start there, actually. This is the end of the movie because Joe's right. It is a charming, surprisingly funny sequel.
It's like light until you talk about the details. And you're like, this is very heavy.
Because the decision was twofold for Accountant 2. They said, let's make it sort of light and funny, and let's really lean into the Bernthal Affleck sort of buddy sort of comedy aspect of it all. Let's add a little bit more action, but like light, funny. And then that's one idea. And then the other idea was plot-wise to just keep it very dark. And so there's this weird vibe in the movie where it's very light and funny and you get through it all and you had a great time. And then on the drive home, you start to sort of think about some of the plot points and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was intense. I don't know, like, it doesn't matter if it serves or doesn't serve the tone or whatever, because the tone of this movie is, you're watching Stars at 11 p.m. and oh yeah, it's Accountant 2.
Yeah,
I love this one.
Yeah,
and then you kind of like half watch it and fall asleep. And that's not to say it's bad. It's that's what it's built
for,
and that's beautiful.
Yes,
I love that kind of movie.
Thank God, I will say, Joe alluded to it, but thank God Affleck and Bernthal showed up in time at the end for the big shootout, because if they hadn't, about 20 children were going to get murdered and piled into a mass grave.
So extremely brutal. And I don't know. You know what was fucked up about that ending besides the plot and how like dark it was? Is like if I had a problem with the movie, if I had one problem with the movie, he didn't use his accounting to help us at the end.
He just used his guns.
He used his autism and his guns, but he didn't use his accounting.
Yeah.
And I like the parts when he's accounting. I like it in 1 when he writes all over the wall and Anna Kendrick comes in and is like, how did you do this? And I like it in Accountant 2 when he's like, I optimized your speed dating algorithm to be
that was fun.
Like all that. Like I love when he's accountanting.
Yeah.
And I think all the action scenes were really cool. I like when they're doing Super Spy. But if I had one note as we go into Accountant 3, which I'm producing, I want the accounting to
more
help
accounting.
him. I need more math,
more ledgers, more numbers.
I need a more math associated,
more equations
finale.
on whiteboards.
It had some accounting in Accountant 2. Could have used more accounting. Could certainly have used some accounting specifically at the end.
It's the thing that it's like when you do a movie like this, like The Mechanic or The Beekeeper, you can't forget the thing that he does. Like that has to be like every accounting.
I want him to account.
Yes, there should. I agree with you. There should have been a more accounting. Like there should have been some sort of like numbers thing that was more crucial.
That's all.
Yeah. It devolved a little bit into a little too generic of a sort of shoot 'em up vigilante movie at the end.
Here's another note that doesn't satisfy what I need, which is more accounting.
Yeah.
In Accountant 1, we established that he on his phone he has like a robotic voice that talks to him, some sort of like Siri-esque voice that has tons of information and is his friend kind of. And we learn in Accountant 1 that actually behind the scenes there is an autistic woman who's like his buddy that sits in front of computers, and she isn't able to talk or doesn't choose to talk.
She's nonverbal.
Nonverbal, and she is his like brain and friend, giving him notes.
And she works out of a institute. It's almost like the Professor X's school for gifted children. It's like it is a sort of advanced school somewhere.
But we learned this in 2.
Yes,
this is in 1. All you know is that he has like a very smart computer whiz hacker.
You hear about the school, but you don't really know what goes on there.
Okay, all right.
You hear about the school, but you don't know much about what goes on there. And then in 2, it turns out that this woman is in charge of a team of autistic children, autistic savants, and then there's like a big sort of bat cave under the school where they all go and they help Affleck. They're like the ones like doing all the like find that camera feed or like hack into that system, triangulate that. They're all doing that in the basement of this school, and I gotta say, I thought that was like a fun. Just a great movie device. It was like, it's absurd, it's silly, and it made the movie feel like, okay, we're developing a franchise now. We're going to lean into the sort of cinema. We're going to lean into the popcornness of it all. Okay. We're not trying to do like gritty neo-noir, which the first Accountant sort of edged on a little bit. Yeah. It's like, no, we're going to do sort of big popcorn movie, and this is going to be a franchise now for Amazon MGM. Joe, you did not like the children at Harbor Neuroscience.
I can't tell if you're right or not, because my instinct on this would have been, you got to cut the room full of autistic kids feeding him all the answers to stuff, because it's just too silly. Plot-wise, it's so silly. He has a secret foundation that's also kind of like a school of rock for terrorist hacker children, where they like pretend to be at school, but at night they go into the basement and they run like campaigns for the cartel and for like Oman. Like,
well, this is what was cracking me up about Harbor Neuroscience, is that the accountant has only lately become like a vigilante for good.
Yeah, he
was before,
and so's Bernthal.
And not like a sort of a criminal.
He worked for Al Qaeda and he worked for Hamas.
He money laundered,
and he worked for the cartel.
Terrorists and armed dealers and cartels.
That's his job.
And, so up until prior to the Accountant 2, this basement full of genius kids was like planning how to like knock off like a Yakuza hitman, because he snitched on the Yakuza or something. That was what the accountant did previously, was like clean up. He was sort of a fixer for the mob and for the cartel.
Exactly.
And so these children were down there helping him do that.
Like helping him like smuggle like sex slaves into the country and stuff.
But Accountant 2, you would not know. I love when a movie just says, fuck it, we're changing the tone. We're changing directions. Accountant's a good guy now, and these kids are lovable. And we'll play like a motivational sort of song over the end credits because all of this is good now.
Insane. But here's what it does plot-wise, and here's my actual script note besides it's silly.
Yes.
The script note is, it takes the superpower out of the accountant.
It's a good point.
It's like accountant now has ChatGPT staffed by 7 children that are supposed to be in his care and employ in the school.
You do lose respect for the accountant.
And all the accountant does is just talk on his headpiece to his team of children and go, Okay, trust me. My kids are really good. Wait. The kids are going to figure it out. Hold on. Here come the kids. Hold on. They're going to figure it out. It's like I want the accountant to be solving it.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
That's a great point. I think you've changed my mind about this a little bit. That's a very good point. Because now I'm wondering, in retrospect, every time the accountant was doing because in one you'll see occasionally the accountant will do like advanced mathematics really quickly and stuff like that,
which I love.
It's like, were the kids just doing this and he's just taking credit for it?
Right,
They're just like feeding this into his earpiece. I think the accountant
he's like
is just
Batman. Like it's like he doesn't have a superpower. He has all the tools that Morgan Freeman make for him.
Specifically he donates money to the school, but like, do these kids like get paid, or are they?
No, that's what I'm wondering. And is he going to like outsource all that labor? In Accountant 3, it's all going to be like an AI back end.
And then he doesn't even need the kids.
He doesn't even need the kids anymore. Which
the kids
is good.
are just there to build the AI to replace the kids.
Well, that's good though, because he shouldn't have child labor triangulating the position of the Qatari
They're having
leadership.
So much fun, like finding out where El Chapo is.
They take over a drone at one point. They hack into a drone.
Over a military
the kids
drone.
can hack into military drones.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It isn't my favorite part of the film. That being said, Brett, I had a lot of fun in this movie.
I had a lot of fun too. What do you give it?
A big heart. This is a 3 stars. This movie's good.
I gave it 3 stars too. I thought it was good.
It was good.
I thought it was good. Bernthal is just like, it's so funny how, man, Bernthal is just so, he just has so much charisma. He has too much charisma. It like starts to like become, he starts to like crush the world around him with his charisma. Like when he is at the bar and like Ben Affleck's like line dancing and he's at his booth and he's sitting up on the top of the booth. He's sitting on the top of the booth like the douchiest like high school lacrosse player you've ever seen, like with his legs down on the booth, and he's like, "That's my big brother. That's my big brother up there." And it's like, John, I love that you're like excited for your brother, and this is a big moment for him coming out of his shell a little bit, and doing this and that. But it's like, bro, you are like there's other people at this bar. Well, it's not just about you.
This moment, I don't blame Bernthal at all for giving and being charming and fun and big. I blame the editor for making him look stupid with the cutbacks, and I blame the director and the DP for framing him so stupidly. And the whole edit makes him look dumb and anachronistic because they're not pacing the cuts correctly.
Yep,
I am pro Bernthal. That's going to be my take.
The other scene they edited poorly was when he was like debating. You find out that he's like calling the dog adoption agency to find out about the dog.
They didn't edit that correctly at all.
They gave Bernthal way too much rope, and he almost hung himself with it. They need to rein Bernthal in the edit. Rein Bernthal in the edit, and because Bernthal's not funny like that. Like that was like edited for a truly funny like improviser, and Bernthal is gonna sort of like lock into a mode and just sort of repeat, and they should have cut that differently.
They should have cut it differently. It was bad writing. It was poorly shot for the comedy of it, and the joke landed with a despicable thud. And all everybody in my theater wanted to do was love Bernthal at that moment, and that joke just crashed because of the way they shot and edited it. I don't think Grady's very funny, is what I'm getting at. Grady, I can't crucify Bernthal for giving.
You're blaming this. You're talking about Gavin O'Connor, the director.
Gavin, sorry,
Gavin O'Connor. You could have directed and edited this movie better. I think that's a good.
John Bernthal, the rich man's Frank Grillo, or as I like to call him, the poor man's Frank Grillo.
I do think for every Bernthal, Grillo should get cast.
I think
like Bernthal.
That's what I mean when I say one
Grillo right
one
now.
For me, one for you.
But Bernthal plays the game so much better because Bernthal's out here buddy buddying with Ben Affleck. Grillo's buddy buddying with Armie Hammer on his podcast.
Right.
No, Grillo's got to level up.